I'm Doug. I usually run a D&D stream every other Saturday, but today I thought I would test out some audio and some new visuals that I had, and we can see what we got going on. Specifically, what I want to do today is I would like to make a 100% accurate, definitive Pokemon tier list based on how much I would like to hug them. I would like to lay it out that this is a completely serious and methodical approach to ranking the Pokemon. I would like to keep everyone calm in the comments. I do try to do this as unbiased as possible, so I will not rate Jigglypuff low just because she should not be in Smash Brothers. One of the key features in this is obviously the tiers, which you can see on the right side. S is I would like to hug them. A is I would hug them. B is I would definitely hug them, but I cannot due to bodily harm, such as fire on the back of a horse. C is I would accept a hug, but I wouldn't seek it out. And D is hugs would be unpleasant, but of course I would still hug them. And F tier is I would not want to hug them. And we're doing the first 151 Pokemon. We're not considering Alolan forms or Mega Evolutions or anything crazy like that. So, to start us off, we have Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur's a cute little guy, and I feel like he'd be really nice to snuggle up against. I feel like the I guess leaf pod on his back, the flower pod, I don't think that would be the most comfortable thing. So I think I would accept a hug from him. I put him in a strong C tier. Next up is the evolution. Ivysaur. Ivysaur has some grass fronds, which could be a little bit scratchy, but the flower is a little bit more pretty, so I think those two things cancel out. I'm going to leave him also at C tier. And finally, Venusaur, a bit more angry than the previous two, although the best stat-wise starter Pokemon out of the original three from Red and Blue. He's got some bumpies down here that I do not necessarily care for. The fronds, again, look a bit troublesome, so I think that his anger issues put him at D tier for me. Charmander, one of my favorites fire starters other than Chimchar, but he's got a little bit of a problem back here. We cannot hug him due to his fire in the back, so that's going to put him at B tier. I would definitely hug the guy, though. He looks like he needs it. Charmeleon, a little bit more red going on and a little bit more spiky fire. I don't see. I'm troubled because I don't want to hug him necessarily. I feel like he could use the hug though, and also there's the bodily harm aspect of the fire tail. So I'm going to split the difference, and I'm going to say this is a teenager that needs a little bit of loving, but I am going to keep the distance from him. I'm going to put him at C tier along with the Bulba buddies. Charmander, this fire flying Pokemon, has now grown wings from his past evolutions. He does have the fire in the back, still causing a bit of strife for us. So I think he actually comes up from Charmeleon. He's gotten a little bit more mature. Maybe he understands his feelings a little bit more than the angsty teen version. So I'm going to put him up at B tier because he could cause us bodily harm, but it's an acceptable risk I'm willing to take. Next up is Squirtle. Look at this guy. I mean, this shell's going to be a little bit uncomfortable, but man, if you couldn't... He's got the sunglasses to go with it. He's definitely an A tier Pokemon. I would definitely hug him. I don't know anyone that would not hug Squirtle. You know what? I'm gonna put him in S tier. He looks like I want to hug him. Not that I would. I want to. I genuinely want to hug a Squirtle boy. Next is War Turtle, the, again, angsty teen version, though he does have a mischievous smile that I can appreciate. I think that I'm going to put him at B tier, not necessarily because not necessarily because of the body of harm. This is a tough one. The curls of the fancy water tail and ears that he's going on is nice though. I'm on board. I'm gonna put him at A. I would hug War Turtle. And finally Blastoise. Blastoise gets quite a bit tougher in his later evolutions with the big metal cannons on his back and the shut you down look over the shoulder. And I don't think he's necessarily A tier material. I think it actually goes down. Just keeps on going down through the evolution chain. He's a B tier. B tier for me. Not necessarily do the bodily harm, it's just a guideline. Caterpie is a cute bug. A lot of people don't like bugs, but I think Caterpie's rather cute, especially for Pokemon. Some of those are pretty spiny and terrifying. I think that Caterpie has a lot of huggability, though the bugness would put quite a few people off. I think Caterpie is definitely a B tier for me. And Metapod got quite a bit harder than the Caterpie pre-evolution, and I think that that is going to hurt his ranking because he's no longer as cuddly and squishy as Caterpie once was. So, Metapod goes at a C tier. I think he needs the hug. You know what I mean? No, actually. I don't... The dead eyes are what's getting me right now. I don't think that the dead eyes are... Yeah, definitely a D tier. And we have Butterfree, the definitely not Venonat that I've messed up quite a few times, or Venomoth that I've messed up quite a few times. He's got the spiky teeth, which I don't like, but otherwise, he seems okay. He's got short arms, which I think hinder the hugging process a bit. I would accept it, but I don't think I'm going to seek that out whatsoever. Next up, we have Weedle. I think I said Weedle for Caterpie, but that's okay. Weedle, he's a cute little guy. He's a bit spiky, but that's okay. I like him just about as much as I do Caterpie. I'm gonna put him in solid B tier. Kakuna, the late great Kakuna. I'm adjusting my. Hold on, just a second. Oh no! My image went away. Okay. This is why it's a tech test. Because stuff like this happens. Let me capture my window. Add source. Get this back in working order. Okay, there we go. I think that's much better. So Kakuno's pretty nice. Again, he's got the hardness of Metapod, and I don't think Kakuna's a little bit cuter than Metapod, though. I think I would hug Kakuna. I think Kakuna's a solid hug for me. That is a C tier huggability for Kakuna. Beedrill. Ah, yes, the spiky bug guy. I don't appreciate the spikes, but I think that's just me. A lot of people like the spikes. I think it adds for cool design, not necessarily a good hugger. I would put him at... I don't want to hug this guy, but his spikes... Yeah, I wouldn't hug this guy. Not just due to bodily harm. I just don't... I don't want to hug him. D, F. I'm putting him in F tier. First F tier so far. Pidgey, the classic bird, seems pretty alright to me. I think I could hug him. Yeah, I'd give Pidgey a hug. I'm fine with Pidgey. Pidgey's fine. Pidgeotto, improperly named in my opinion, but he's got some claws wearing out at you. He's got some mohawk sort of styled feathers going on. I feel like he's gonna swoop down. And if I hugged him wrong, I feel like he would slash at me or claw at my eyes. But yeah, I think I'm gonna avoid hugging Pidgeotto. And with Pidgeot, he definitely smooths himself out. I'm saying he, but she also works. There's a lot of yeah. So he curls his claws up a bit, and he's a bit more confident in his flying swagger. So I would accept a hug from Pidgeot. I think Pidgeot's a good solid. I'll put him at B tier, even though no bodily harm is done. I think Pidgeot. No, I would hug Pidgeot. A tier. A tier for Pidgeot. Ah, Rattata. A lot of people don't like rats. I don't necessarily care against rats, but I don't necessarily care for them either. So I think that Rattata is. I'm fine. I would accept a hug from Rattata. I think C tier is fine. But Alola Rattata is definitely no. But again, we're not going there. And Raticate, a lot meaner than the original. He's got the sharper teeth and funkier mouth. I would not. I don't think I would hug Raticate. Raticate's a F tier for me. Spearow. Spearow is like Pidgey, a basic bird, so I'm going to put him at A tier like I did Pidgey for the basic bird tier. A is for basic birds. No, he's a bit more spiky and scrawly. I'm putting him at B tier. Don't be so scrawly, maybe you'll get more hugs. And Fearow, a lot larger. He's 3 feet tall. Wow, that is a big bird. Again, spiky and ruffed around the edges and feathers. I think that solid. I think that's D tier. I mean, I would hug him if he needed it, but I don't think I'm going to be going anywhere near that anytime soon. Ekans, again, one of these things that I'm fine with, but a lot of people have problems with snakes. Ekans' eyes are not okay with me, and the weird nub to rattler in the back is not ideal. I feel like he would hug way too tight as well, but the no fangs inside sort of tells me that he's in need of a hug. I don't think I would seek out a hug, but I would definitely hug him. And Arbok. He got way cooler. He's got hearts on his frills. Is that what you would call that? Definitely a lot meaner than Ekans, but the hearts do win me over. If you have hearts in your design, you're definitely gonna get a hug. I feel like he would hurt me though, so we're gonna go with a solid B tier for Arbok. Excuse me. Pikachu. If that's not S tier, I don't. Come on, that's 100% an S tier. S tier hug, easy. And then Raichu is. I feel like Raichu's pretty decent, you know. Raichu's gonna be pretty solid, and I just don't think he's Pikachu level of cuddliness. He's got the weird balls on his feet and the curly ears. I feel like could poke you in the wrong places. Raichu's going to A tier. Really good showing from Raichu. Ooh, Sandshrew. Sandshrew is one of my absolute favorite Pokemon of all time, especially as a Alolan form. But if we're going off the standard form, he's got a hard outer brick shell, which I think I'm not necessarily a fan of to snuggle up against and shrug against, and if I need a shoulder to cry on, I don't think he's going to be the first one to go out to, but he is a pangolin, and that's so adorable that I think he definitely deserves a spot in. I would definitely hug this guy, but the roughness is what gets me. This is a B tier. B tier showing from Sandslash, and Sandslash gets even meaner. A lot of these evolutions get meaner and more rugged, which I guess is great for if you're fighting Pokemon, but not great for your huggability ranking. So that's a drops him down a tier to C tier. And I'm gonna say the trouble. Nidoran, both male and female, Nidorina, and Nidorino are all kind of repulsive to me, honestly. I don't want to hug these guys, and I feel like not a lot of people do. They're poison type, they're pointy, they're angry in their later evolutions. I don't care for the Nidoran peoples, Nidorinos and whatnot. But the Nidoqueen gets a lot friendlier and has more curves to her design. So I think I would be unpleasant with the hug. They're quite large. They're 132 pounds for only 4 feet. That's kind of intimidating. I think that's a D tier for me. And Nidoking gets spiky, keeps him in F tier. Clefairy, a classic normal and a now fairy type from the first generation, where fairy type just meant you were pink and bulbous. Not Bulbasaur, that's different. The twiddling of the fingers we've got going on makes me a little bit uncomfortable, but I would accept a hug from Clefairy, I think. So that's a solid, that's a C tier. That's a C tier, Clefairy. Clefairy C. And Clefable's in the same boat. They got some wings going on in the back. I think they're wings. I'm not really sure what they are. But yeah. I'd accept a hug. I think that's fine. I would accept it. C tier. C for Clefairy, Clefable. Vulpix. Ooh, I love me some Vulpix. Vulpix and yeah, Vulpix, especially the Alolan. I guess I think I have a thing for ice types. Is a fantastic design and really gosh darn cute. That is an A tier for Vulpix. And Ninetales also gets an A tier. Quite a lot larger, and I think that's okay. Sometimes you need a big spoon to cuddle up against and just, hug. Maybe cry into if you feel like you need to. Yeah, solid A tier from both the evolutions. Jigglypuff, my most hated Smash rival. I have strong prejudices against Jigglypuff because a balloon should not be in a fighting game, but I shall put that aside for the unbiasedness of this tier list. Jigglypuff is fairy, and balloons are known to be quite squishy. I think it would be pleasant to hug a Jigglypuff, as much as it pains me to say. Jigglypuff's an A tier hug. And then Wigglytuff is it's just a grown-up Jigglypuff, man. I don't know. It's the same thing. Yeah, I don't see any specific design choices that would lead me to put Wigglytuff in a separate tier, so also in A tier. Zubat is a nope for me. I am fine with bats. I think the bats are incredibly cool creatures in real life, but due to their poison and their no eyes, their large fanged mouths, that is a no for me. That is an F tier hug. And Golbat gets worse. You got the angry eyes. You have a bigger mouth to probably bite your arm. The legs and feet make me very uncomfortable. I don't know how they work, but I don't want to find out. That is an F tier for Golbat. Oddish is adorable. I sort of was mean to Bulbasaur at the start for having a bulb on his back, but Oddish is just so darn cute. He's jumping for joy. He's got the stylish leaves for hair. That is a solid. I want to say A tier, but the poison is what's getting me. And he's also the weed Pokemon, which I don't like weeds in my gardens and whatnot. So it's got to be B tier for Oddish. Though liable to go up in A tier if he cleans up his act. And it goes downhill. Gloom has gotten very sad and has grown some growths up top, as well as droopy eyes and Golbat feet. I think I would avoid. That's a really hard drop for the evolution chain, but I think I would avoid hugging Gloom pretty much at all costs. I don't appreciate what's going on there. And Vileplume got the cuteness back, though still a little bit shady. The red eyes I don't like, but at least they're flower now and not weed anymore. So I'm torn because I don't like the nefariousness of it. You know what I mean? I think that it could be improved, but I feel like I would still hug them if they needed it. I'm a sucker for that cute but distant smile. That's a C tier. Paris, based on real life parasites taking over the minds of ants. It's got the creepy crawly legs, which humans are evolutionized to dislike and find unsettling. The claws are not dandy. The teeth are quite scary, and the undead eyes are not great. A lot of people don't like mushrooms. They find them disgusting. I don't mind mushrooms. I don't mind a lot of things I'm finding by doing this, but I don't think I would. Parasect is I would avoid hugging Paras and Parasect once we get to Parasect. Because the mushroom has grown more, the legs and arms get longer, and the eyes get deader. I'm not a fan of any of those things. That is a F tier. I love the design, but I'm just not going to hug one of these guys. Venonat is the insect Pokemon. Very strange category to be in because, well, a lot of them are bug type. Seems strange to me to separate insect and bug. The teeth on the side I don't appreciate, and the arms are a little bit too short, in my opinion. But it is quite furry, which I appreciate. I think that getting a big dog or a really fluffy cat is really nice in real life. I would hug Venonat. Despite its drawbacks, I think it does mean well. It has a curious look, and I think that I would hug Venonat if he wanted it. That's a C tier. Venomoth is a bit worse. Loses the cute arms, loses the fuzziness, and the legs curl up into weird sideways legs. The teeth get longer, the head gets spikier. It doesn't lose its eyes like Paras and Parasect did, but it is poison, which I want to say it would be unpleasant and I would still hug it, but I don't think I could bring myself to hug this guy, even if he needed it. That is an F tier for me. Diglett, the mole Pokemon. The nose is cute. I like the nose. I feel like a nose needs like that needs good booping. But all things considered, he's close to the ground. That's a whole process. You got to bend over just to hug the guy. I think that if he needed it, I would go to the effort to do it. But I don't. I wouldn't want to hug this guy. Honestly, it's way too far down. That's D. That's a D tier. And 3 is honestly for me it's a little bit better. It's more of a group hug type situation, so it's not as awkward of a bend down to hug. It's not such a process anymore. I think that Doug Trio goes up a tier. I would accept a hug from Doug Trio more so than I would just a singular Diglett. And I just have to give a shout out to the Alolan Doug Trio. It's fantastic. Okay, Meowth. That's right. Meowth has... I thought he had claws. Does he not have claws? Does he have claws in another form? Ah, he has claws in Galarian. Yeah, I would... Cats are cute, you know. I like cats. Everyone likes cats. I think cats are good. The bottom half of Meowth, if I can scroll, looks like a monkey. It looks like the painter Pokemon whose name escapes me. But so that's not gonna. I'm not gonna count off for that. I think I would hug. I would hug Meowth. That's an A tier. I would hug Meowth. I'm fine with Meowth. And Persian, also, I think, also an A tier. I mean, I can't really complain with this. This is nicely done from both of them. I would hug both of these guys. Classy cat even. Yeah, I would definitely do that. Psyduck is your crazy friend from high school that gets overwhelmed quite easily and has a breakdown in the middle of the gym or cafeteria. And despite all that, you just can't help but love them, no matter how foolish or quite frankly stupid they are. Canonically, though, he hurts people with psychic pulses or energy or whatever whenever he gets close to people. So I'm not on board for that. I think I would do it just because it's the obligation of having a friend like Psyduck, but I wouldn't. It would be unpleasant. I'm gonna put Psyduck at D tier. Golduck, spikier, but better because they have control of their emotions now. They're not freaking out every time a new experience gets thrown at them. I think Golduck is a tier up from Psyduck, despite being a little bit more angsty and clawed. I think that's... Yeah, Golduck is a C tier hugger. Mankey, you see the Meowth vibes? Hold on, let me get a little bit halfway down. Got some Meowth vibes going on. I think it's a color scheme. But the pig nose is off-putting to me, but I think those feet are designed to give you an embrace. I like Meowth, but I think that Meowth... I said Meowth, didn't I? I think that Mankey would probably be fighting the hug, honestly. They have quite the temper. I think when Primeape comes, he'll have the anger mark, and I'd hug it if he needed it, but I don't think I wouldn't seek out a hug. Definitely not seek out a hug. That is a C tier for Mankey. And Primeape got the veiny forehead because of their anger, their irateness, and the shackles. Has Primeape gone to prison recently? This is interesting. I never noticed the shackles before. The anger, again, the smoother arms I don't like, as well as the loss of tail. Maybe that's why he went to prison. He got into a fight and the tail got taken out. Primeape is D tier for me. Growlithe is so gosh. They're really good at making first evolutions that are just so gosh darn cute. I would definitely hug Growlithe. Growlithe is fantastic. That is A tier for Growlithe. And then Arcanine. Still, even though he's grown up and he's gotten his stripes a bit more defined and angular, the tail has come out in full force. He's got a little bit more of a mask going on. His mane's come out. I'd still hug this guy. Look at that smile. He's happy to be there. He's happy to comfort you. That is still A tier from Arcanine. Poliwag is cute, and I don't like the frowny face, so he definitely needs a hug. I don't appreciate that he doesn't have arms, but he's so small. I'm willing to pick him up. You know, he's only 2 feet tall. I'm willing to pick up Poliwag and give him a big ol' squeeze. I think he needs it. Poliwhirl has now grown arms to reciprocate that love that he's just been given, and he's grown nostrils for some reason. I'm okay with that, you know? I think I gave him a hug to help him through his hard times, and now he's evolved to give me a hug back. I think that Poliwhirl is another A tier. And then Poliwrath gets angry. Maybe he doesn't like he doesn't like my perfume or cologne. Maybe he doesn't like that his boxing gloves have turned into regular gloves. They look like the things you put on the legs of turkeys. He's gotten angrier, and I feel like that puts him down a tier. He was going strong, but you can't get angry halfway through a hugging cycle. A hugging evolution should not be ruined by strife or irritation. Abra is really cute. The, I guess, tapir-shaped face is off-putting, as well as the jointed, connected legs and hips. The spiky claws, I'm not a fan of. It's got an alien vibe, which makes sense because he's a psychic Psy Pokemon. I would hug him though if he needed it. I think Abra's solid C. That's a C tier. Kadabra has graciously shown his spoon, and that's okay. You know, if he wants to show off a spoon, that's fine. But it is a bit jarring to want to hug someone and they whip out a ladle. His tail has grown quite a lot, and he's got weird heat lines on his lower abdomen, which I find not okay. I'm going to say no to Kadabra. I mean, yeah, the stance, it is that I am all-powerful, charging up my key stance that I'm not on board for. I don't think I would hug. I would avoid hugging Kadabra, honestly. He gets a little bit better with age, though. Alakazam is more honest. He's got 2 ladles. He says, look, I messed up with the ladle the first time. I got one for you. And I would like to go bake a cake together. I got rid of the tail. I got rid of the weird lines. I grew a mustache. It's been quite a while since I've seen you. And, you know, it's been so long that... Come here, man. Come here. Come on. We can pat one out. We can do this. We can make up for the wrongdoings of my past. And I would give Alakazam a hug. That's an A tier. I mean, I would hug Alakazam. Yeah, I'm okay with it. The spikes, everything. We've gone through a whole storyline with Alakazam, and I'm okay with it. I would give Alakazam a hug. Machop has strange dinosaur fins as well as gills question mark on his chest, which I don't think would be great to hug. He's got enthusiasm and he's got the strong upper body that you need for a good solid hug, but I'm not on board for the fins and gills with a question mark. It's not that I would hug this guy if it wasn't for the gills, so I'm going to put him at B tier. I don't think the gills are going to hurt me, but I don't appreciate them being there. Machoke got a lot more macho and has grown fins on his sides, but he has covered up the gills, which is nice of him. But I feel like he's very full of himself now. He's worked out. He's obviously looking in a lot better shape than he previously was, and cleaned himself up a little bit. But he knows it, and he's ready to strut it. I would hug him if he needs to, but only because I'm intimidated by him. And I feel like me accepting a hug on those grounds is not a C tier worthiness, it is D tier. Sorry, Machoke. You have to be a little bit more compassionate every once in a while, Machoke. Come on. And then Machamp has gotten better for Machoke. He's lost the fins on his arms. He's grown 2 more. That is double the hugging. He's very excited and ecstatic about his arms as well as his new championship belt. So he's got his toes. He's lost some toes, which is interesting. But I feel like with the 4 arms, you gotta. That's twice the hugs. He can give hugs to you and your friend at the same time. That is. The 4 arms gets an S tier for me. Bellsprout is really cute, though the mouth is unsettling as well as the spindly legs. I don't necessarily care for. Again, poison type. Grass poison is not an ideal way to go about hugging, but yeah, I would accept a hug from Bellsprout. No, I feel like the spindly legs and funky mouth. I don't know where that mouth's going to go. Is it going to go over the shoulder? Is it going to go directly into the chest? What if I'm honestly a little concerned that Bellsprout may try to kiss me with that, and I do not want that whatsoever. That is unpleasant, but Bellsprout needs it. Bellsprout's had a hard life looking like that, and I think that is a D tier for me. And Weepinbell, this is awkward teen years if I've ever seen one. This is worse. The legs are gone, which I had a problem with, but now there's a weird tuft of grass. They've lost the lines inside their leaves, and the mouth got bigger. That was my main problem last time. That's an F. I would not hug Weepinbell, and I have a feeling Victory Bell is not much better. They've completely flipped over. The thing on top of the head has turned spikier. The leaves have grown broader. They got spots. I don't know where the spots came from. Is that a rash, dude? I don't know. The teeth as well. How could I forget the teeth? That's staying in F tier. Tentacool is very cool. He's got the Vader helmet look going on, as well as the weird alien psychic poison bubbles. The tentacles are very. I don't feel comfortable hugging tentacles, but I feel like if anyone could do it, the concerned look on Tentacool's face, I would give Tentacool a chance to hug me. I would be scared he would hurt me or try to put his helmet-shaped body on top of my head. But I would hug him. This is one of the few tentacle Pokemon I would hug. Tentacool is a B tier. Surprisingly, I'm surprised by that, but he's won me over. And Tentacruel gets worse. The weird pincer nose and back. He looks like what's his name? The alien from Duck Dodgers. The name escapes me. He's got more tentacles, which I was hesitant at first. The beak has a serrated edge, and the upper part has gotten more rigid and spiny, for lack of a better term. It says it's a jellyfish, but I'm not sure anymore. I'm questioning if Tentacool was safe to hug in the first place after I hugged Tentacruel. So I would avoid hugging Tentacruel. That's a no. Sorry, the beak is not okay. That sounds painful. Geodude, yeah, I'd hug Geodude. Come on. He's a little rock guy. But the rock and biceps would be stiff. He's also got a rock head, so despite being hard-headed, I'm gonna put him at B tier. I would hug him, but the bodily harm thing, I think that's fair. I think that's fair for Geodude. Graveler, man, I complimented Machoke's forearms earlier, but I think Graveler sort of ruins it. Two of them are curled up, ready to get close and grabby. No. I don't... Graveler's got an evil look in his eye that I don't think I would hug Graveler. I would avoid hugging Graveler is what I'm saying. That's F tier. Sorry, Graveler, you gotta get nicer. And he does so. Golem, looking a bit better. Still angry at the world. Still got the claws. Grew one out the back. But he has hardened up. He said, you know what? Life's been a little bit rough on me. That's okay. I can stiffen up, stand up, and stand my ground. And despite his outer edges, I would accept a hug from Golem. That's C tier. C tier. Golem C tier material. Rapidash. Ooh, I would hug a Rapidash, but there is fire. Oh, sorry, Ponyta. Rapidash is next. I would definitely hug Ponyta and Rapidash, but the fire is going to hurt its rating a bit. That is a B tier. And I think the same goes for Rapidash. I wish the horn was a different texture because it just looks like a strange growth here. But again, the fire is too much for me. I'm not going to get flame burned just for a loving embrace. I'm sorry, Rapidash. You are B tier material. Slowpoke. It's a cutesy guy. A little bit dopey, as he is the dopey Pokemon. But he's got the 1,000-yard stare. Something bad has happened in Slowpoke's past, and I don't know what it is, and I don't want him to explain it to me, because when he starts explaining, I'm going to be trapped there. Not that I don't want him to express himself. I just personally do not want to be a part of that. So, you know what? The more I talk about it, the more sympathy I have. I would give him a hug and listen to his problems, but I would not want to stay there. I would make up an excuse halfway through to leave, but I would hug the guy. I think that's a D tier. Slowpoke is a D tier. And wouldn't you know it, you find out what happened to Slowpoke. His older brother, Slowbro, got bit by a cloyster on his back. Yes, I am fully aware that that is not a cloyster. It does not look like one. I don't think it's ever looked like one. But he claims it's a cloyster, and I think that has to do with his intelligence. I would not He thinks it's okay. That's the problem. He thinks the cloister on his back is okay, and I'm not. It's not, dude. It's not. We need to go get you help, but you don't want to. I think you're oblivious to it, and I would not hug Slowbro due to the. Does that say cloister? Is it cloister or shelter? This is important. It's a shelter. Excuse me. Yeah, I would not hug the Slowbro due to the shelter on his back. Magnemite. Magnemite's cute. The metal clinginess is not ideal, and if I had a metal joint or, maybe a BB got stuck in my elbow as a child, that would be not great. But I would give the guy a hug. I think he needs it. Yeah, that's a B tier. I would give Magnemite a hug. And then Magneton, I was okay with Dugtrio's group hugs, but Magneton, it seems like their hugs are not out of love, it is out of obligation. So I'm not necessarily on board for it, but they have the 1,000-yard stare that the other ones did as well. I'm not on board for hugging Magneton, but I feel like they need it. That is a D tier huggable Pokemon. Farfetch'd. Farfetch'd is a cute guy. He's got a leak. He wants to show you the leak. He's a little bit feisty, I feel. I feel like he would slap you with the leak as a joke. But kids, they do stupid stuff. I feel like that's fine. I would accept a hug from Farfetch'd, though the leak may hurt me. I'm okay with it. Think he needs it. That's a C tier hugger. C tier for Farfetch'd. Doduo has got a fluffy body, very spindly claws, and no arms. 2 heads that go in different directions. The fluffiness I like. I don't care for the no arms, but I would accept it. I feel like the necks wrapping around you on either side would feel kind of nice, honestly. I feel like Doduo, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with Doduo. Okay? I would accept a hug from Doduo. That is a C tier. And Dotrio, the right one's a little bit moody, but they grew some feathers on top. I think those are feathers. Maybe they put leaves in their hair. Some birds do that. Or hair. They're feathers. That's cool. I like it. They're yelly, which I don't like. So I want to put them down a tier to where I feel like they're yelling too much that I wouldn't want to hug them. But, as I said previously, the 2 heads wrapping is amplified by the 3rd head on top that can keep watch. I wouldn't want to be caught hugging a Dotrio, but if there was another Dotrio watching for someone approaching, I'm okay with Dotrio. I wouldn't enjoy myself, but it's acceptable. It's an acceptable hug. Dodrio is a D tier. Unpleasant but acceptable. Oh, Seal. Aw, look at the spike. Look at the dopey tongue. Oh, what a sea lion. I like. Yeah, Seal's good. Seal, not a great name, but a good hugger. I would hug Seal. That's A tier. I get a wetsuit, but I would hug Seal definitely. And Dugong, lost the dopey tongue, but otherwise a little bit bigger. Still happy to see you. I feel like. Yeah, I would hug a Dugong. Dugong's cool. I like Dugong. Not that different from Seal, but I'm fine with Dugong. Yeah. A tier. A tier for both Seal and Dugong. Ooh. Sludge. No. Okay. Grimer. He does have a cute face and look to him, but he's sludge. And he's got this weird amorphous oozing form that I don't want around me. Not only will it stain my clothes, I'm worried it could cause some irritation or a rash, or I have to shower afterwards for sure. I would avoid hugging Grimer, and before I even go, Muck is even worse than Grimer. That is F tier for both of them. I would not hug either of them. And it's not out of compassion. I feel like they have a really sad existence. I don't want to have to clean myself every time you need a hug. No. Muck and Grime are both F tier huggers. Shelder, the culprit or supposed culprit for biting Slowbro, yeah, he's not bad. He's got the weird. Is it Martian? Is that what his name is? Marvin the Martian. That's his name. Marvin the Martian was the alien I was trying to think of earlier. Marvin the Martian, looking fella with the weird shell going on. The tongue is cute with dugong, but this tongue is unsettling. That is a tongue that is reaching out to steal your ice cream, and I don't appreciate it. The hard adult shell, also not great. The spindly spikes, though they're not that spiky, they would still poke you. It's cute though, man. I would not enjoy myself, but I would give Shelder a hug. It's D tier. Shelder is D tier. Cloister has gotten a spike going on. More spines around the sides. Angrier expression. Marvin the Martian has turned angry and sly. That's F. I would not hug a Cloister. It's nothing against Cloister. I just don't feel like they're good at giving hugs. That's too much harm for my taste. Ghastly. The age-old question of can you hug a ghost? And the answer is of course yes, because ghosts need love too. Ghastly, however, cannot reach out to hold you if you need it, is fresh from the other side and quite angry about his demise. But he needs the hug. Ghosts need hugs too. Hashtag ghosts need hugs. Ghastly is D tier. I wouldn't enjoy myself, but everyone needs a hug. Haunter. He's halfway there. He's got the hands, though the arms are still lacking. I feel like Haunter's probably matured a little bit from Ghastly's very early development of ghostness, of his spectral form, of his wraithy existence, of his otherworldly life. And I think that brings him up a tier. I think the hands are what I was missing from Ghastly. I would accept a hug. I would accept a hug from Haunter. Yeah, I'm okay with a hug from Haunter. Gengar, his eyes have turned red. He's much more devious. I just want to peek at Mega Gengar because he cracks me up. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I would. The deviousness brings him back down. They're all poison, which I was okay with for Haunter, but the Gengar irritability is not okay. He's looking to curse me. He's looking for revenge. Haunter was looking for answers. Gengar is looking for revenge. That is a D tier. No, he's too much. I'm convincing myself that he's too much. Gengar's emotions need to be put in check before he's ready to hug anybody. That is an F tier hugger. Sorry, Gengar. Onyx, what a sad looking guy. He's big too. He's 28 feet tall. Wow. Uh, he doesn't seem like he's enjoying himself, so I feel like he needs the hug. But then again, I don't know. I can't gauge just by looking at him how rough he's going to be with the hug. I would like to say that I would hug this guy if he needed it, but the roughness is sort of destroying his chances at a solid hug. That is a. I want to put him at B tier. Drowsy definitely has the tapir look going on. Very devious, maniacally laughing. Has the 80s style cup belly. I don't understand the feet, and I do not. I'm uncomfortable with the feet and the nose as well. Drowsy has the look in his eyes where he's not slept all night and you just spilt his cereal on accident in the cafeteria and he's trying to cast a spell on you because he's delusional. I'm not okay with hugging Drowsy. The sheer psychosis coming from Drowsy is too much. That is a F tier for me. And Hypno still has the deviousness. Still has the I remember that time you knocked over my cereal. Though he's fluffed himself up, he's got some new clothes, he's willing to. I can't tell if it's a good thing or a bad thing that he's willing to hypnotize you into hugging him. On one hand, that's not good that he's willing to force you against your will to hug you, but if he's going to that extreme lengths, I think he does truly want to work out what went wrong in the cereal incident a few years ago. I would be unpleasantly sitting down with Hypno to work out our differences. That's a D tier for me. Ah, Krabby. The river crab Pokemon has a bit of an underbite. Is it underbite or overbite? I think it's underbite. Going on. The spindly legs, a lot of people don't like. The claws are jagged and harsh. Spikes on his mouth and head. But he didn't ask to be that way. He looks like he needs someone to give him a hug. And he's ecstatic that you're there to comfort him in such a time in his life. And I'm going to give him B. I would hug him. I'd hug Krabby. Kingler, after you hug Krabby, Kingler says, "Oh, that was nice. I want that again." And is now going to show up at your place at work for a hug and otherwise seek out hugs where it's not really wanted. And that makes me uncomfortable. I would avoid Kingler. I would change jobs because Kingler keeps showing up at my workplace. F. Kingler, stay the F away. Voltorb. I feel like Voltorb and Electrode are going to be quite similar. It's just a ball. It's not necessarily a squishy ball. They're modeled to Pokeballs, so I'm assuming they're plastic or ceramic or something. Maybe even a light metal. Maybe they are metal. Yeah, they're electric type. They probably are some type of conductive being. The anger he's putting off is not great, but maybe that's what turns him into an Electrode. I would unpleasantly hug Voltorb. That is D tier. Then he turns into Electrode, and he's a bit more happy about it. He's, for the first time in his life, he's been embraced by someone who understands his harsh struggles, and Electrode goes up a tier because of it. Electrode's at C tier. I like the storylines that these Pokemon have just from being loved. It's very heartwarming. Execute. Oh goodness. This one's very sure of himself. This one has a hard time. This one doesn't know where he's not all there. Not gonna comment on where the top half of this guy is. They're all troubled. They're all troubled youths, and I hate to say this, I would never do this in real life. I would not hug someone against their will, but I feel like a doctor would specifically prescribe a hug to Execute to work through their troubles. I'm going to put Execute at D tier. Controversial? I know, I think that's probably the most controversial one so far, but Execute's D tier. And the guy in the back has gotten a little bit more happy, though still kind of dumb, and the ones that were quite nefarious have backed off and gone their separate ways. They have grouped together to form a coconut tree. Don't ask how that works. They were eggs to start with, but now they're Executor. Executor. I always say it incorrectly. Executor is better, but he doesn't have arms still. The doctor prescribed more hugs. It's got to get better from there, Executor. Especially with the name. The name is not wholly welcoming to hugs in that sort of fashion. D tier for Executor. Cubone, oh my gosh, one of the saddest backstories for any Pokemon. He is wielding the bone and wearing the skull of his dead mother. Thank you for that, Game Freak, for that very, very sad backstory. Cubone, if anyone needs it, you can't see the tear duct behind the skull, but you know that it's full. I would hug Cubone and hopefully make them feel welcomed. And then Marowak did not feel welcomed by the hug and has gotten angry. He is formed fully in his mother's skull and grew a bit of a spike here, but is now wielding the bone in an angry fashion. Marowak goes down quite a few tiers. The turn from needing a hug to never hug me again is off-putting. Marowak's a D tier. Marowak, you gotta accept when someone wants to love you, Marowak. That's what we're here for. We're here to hug. Hitmonlee, ooh. Hitmonlee has always been very strange to me because of the weird yellow ankles on his feet. I think that Hitmonlee, I would hug Hitmonlee if he asked for it. I would not go out of my way, nor would I expect him to go out of his way. But the seriousness coming off of this Pokemon tells me that when he needs a hug, he needs a hug. Hitmonlee is C tier. Hitmonchan is a bit more welcoming than Hitmonlee. The big eyes and I guess sort of dour face, despite it, show to me that he can chill after a fight. He can relax and take a load off, change into a different outfit if he wants to. I like the shoes. The shoes are stylish. Hitmonchan is a better hugger. That's a B tier. Better hugger than Hitmonlee. Hitmonlee needs to take notes from Hitmonchan. Oh goodness, I'm not looking forward to 108. Leaky Tongue. I think it is safe to say we can all feel quite unsettled when a large dog comes up and licks you. Some people should see it as a sign of compassion, but I think that many do not see it that way. Lickitung is so large that the tongue would be very forceful and not only unpleasant, but probably hurtful. I would avoid hugging Lickitung. Coughing. Coughing and wheezing both are going to be easy answers. They're in the muck category of do not want to hug something that spews poison on me. I mean, it's just as simple as that. Coughing and wheezing both are no-goes. They are both F tier huggers. Rhyhorn, interesting. Rhyhorn, I feel like Rhyhorn's too angry. The anger and spikes, I don't think Rhyhorn has ever wanted a hug. And I don't think he needs it. I think he's come to terms with not having physical affection in his life. I think that I would avoid hugging Rhyhorn, not because I don't like him, but because Rhyhorn and I have a mutual respect for each other, where I know that Rhyhorn should not be attempted to be hugged. He has made it very clear to me. That is F tier out of mutual respect. Rhydon, though, man, he had definitely come to terms with it. I mean, that is an embrace if I've ever seen one. He is ready. They are ready for a hug. That eagerness is. I'm okay with the eagerness. Rhydon, excuse me. Yeah, that's a B tier. The horn and hardness is not okay, or C tier, excuse me. No, it is B tier. Yeah, B. The horn and hardiness of the shell, the chitin, the outer perimeter, not great, but the eagerness, I'm on board for the eagerness. I would hug Rhydon. Not for fear out of bodily harm, but avoidance of bodily harm. Oh, Chansey. Chansey's still normal? I thought she was fairy. So Chansey is a mom. I think it's very clear that Chansey's a mom. Moms give good hugs. I mean, yeah, that's a... You know what? No. Okay, I was going to put Chansey at A tier, but I'm concerned I would squish the egg. And Pokemon eggs are not one to squish because a coughing could pop out and poison you, or a burst of flame pops out and a Ho-Oh annihilates you, eviscerates you, and burns you to death. Chansey would be A tier if Chansey would be willing to put down the egg. I'm not asking her to. I know that she is obligated to keep the egg with her, so I'm going to respectfully put her at B tier. Oh, Tangela or Tangela? I've only read these. I've never heard them say it out loud. So they are a little bit of fluff, a little bit of vine fluff. I don't know the Marvin the Martian thing going on inside, which is a little concerning, but I'd be willing to find out. That is a C tier from Tangela. Kangaskhan, they have a similar problem with Chansey where I don't want to crush the baby. Though Kangaskhan is more angry and brash about it. Chansey is the nice loving mother, while Kangaskhan is the one that is willing to get into a fight with you at the local Walgreens due to you hogging the photo station, while her baby is sitting in the cart next to you, throwing Cheerios all over the ground. I would avoid hugging Kangaskhan, and I know it's not the kid's fault. I just can't bring myself to enter that situation. Horsia! Ooh, Horsia's nice. Horsia's... I don't... A horse? Are seahorses actual fish? That's a question for another day. I would definitely... I'd hug Horsia. If it weren't for the having to be underwater and squirting water from her nose? Their nose? Not necessarily bodily harm, but something's unsettling and disconcerting about them. B tier for Horsia and Seadra. I want to say that's anger, but it also, now that I'm looking at it, looks very sure of itself, which I'm impressed by. So I want to put it down for anger and up one for sure of themselves. I'm going to put it in the middle and put Seadra right in the same tier, B tier. Goldeen, the half-forgotten Magikarp clone, is not... I feel like the anger in the eyes is what's getting me. They are telling me to back off with their eyes. Though if they need it, I would accept a hug. That is a C. Goldeen is C. I would accept a hug from Goldeen. Seadra... Those are some really human lips. I'm unsettled by Seadra in the same way that I am Goldeen, but... Or Seeking. Excuse me. Goldeen is Seeking. I'm unsettled in the same way, but that is C tier. Staryu, water type. I quite like Staryu's design as Starmie's as well. Staryu has the pose of Patrick Star looking for a hug. I would give Staryu a hug. I'm okay with Staryu's A tier. Despite the strange anatomy, Staryu deserves a hug. Seadra has gone down from his powerful up stance, and something about the positioning of everything and the harshness of the outer gold plating is putting me off. That brings them down a tier to B tier. Whew, we're getting close. 29 more. Mr. Mime. Mimes and clowns are unsettling, though Mr. Mime happens to be one that is satisfactory. I would not invite Mr. Mime into my house, but I would happily leave him outside for my kid's birthday party. Mr. Mime is B tier. I'm okay with Mr. Mime. B tier. Scyther, though. Scyther is angry and has arms of blade. I want to say that I would hug Scyther, but the anger and irateness from Scyther is going to put Scyther at C tier, both due to bodily harm, though that's not the definition of C tier, but also the anger. Jinx, the human shape Pokemon with quite the problematic past, does not sit well with me still. I would avoid hugging Jinx. I'm just going to end there. Jinx is F tier. F tier for Jinx. Sorry, Jinx. Electabuzz. has got some powerful energy going on. While it does look like more of a victory pose, it could also be seen as a flex. I like the confidence that Electabuzz has. I don't find that cute or soft, but I appreciate the effort. That is B tier. Magmar has got the weird butt head, which I don't like, and also flames all over its body. It has weird pinata arms. It's also got a choker and manacles on its legs. There are so many things being thrown at me. If it approached me asking for a hug, I would say no, just to the pure confusion that this literal butthead is giving off. That is F tier for Magmar. Pinsir, the mouth area is not great. The bug spindly legs. It's got weird robotic lower legs and long arms. All around, not a fan. F tier for Pinsir. Ooh, Tauros. Why do all these Pokemons look so angry? Tauros would be great. I feel like I would definitely hug Tauros, but the anger is what hurts him. And it's Wild Bull, so he's not trained. He doesn't understand that a human is coming to love him. I'm gonna have to say D tier. I think hugging Tauros would be unpleasant because they don't understand what's going on. That is D for Tauros. Magikarp is the floppy Pokemon. Probably does not understand where he is and will flop out of your arms, possibly into like a moving car or something. I would avoid Magikarp just for the responsibility of possibly it hurting itself. Gyarados, though. Gyarados knows what they're up to. The Hyper Beam, I think it's Hyper Beam. The Hyper Beam is good as a Pokemon itself, but they got the anger going on. I would unpleasantly hug a Gyarados. That is D tier for Gyarados. Ooh, Lapras. Lapras has a strange over the back, somewhat seductive look, but I'm not going to try and mistake that for what it's not. That is a look of confidence. Lapras is confident in their hugging ability and will let you use surf to transport you wherever you need to go. They know what they're about and they know that they can do it correctly. That is A tier material. A tier confidence from Lapras. Goodness, Ditto. So, Ditto's kind of cheating because Ditto can be anything. So, I want to ban that, but that's such a integral form of Ditto that I think because Ditto can be anything, that has to be S tier. Ditto is S tier, hugging material. Pikachu and Eevee both are classic, fantastic huggers. Especially as a partner, Eevee is S tier, hugging, up there with Pikachu, just being the cutest, stand on her shoulder, nuzzle you when you need it, ask for a treat if it wants one. I like Eevee. S tier Pokemon. S tier hugging. Vaporeon has grown a spine and a frill around her neck and ears. I don't think that hurts them as much as it possibly could. The skin probably not as good of a texture, but still has the lovability of Eevee. That is an A tier hugger. Jolteon is in the same boat. Some design came out. The spikes and static have come, and it puts them down a little bit, but the confidence and loving of their previous trainer is still there. Still A tier. I feel like Flareon, also in the same boat. Possibly fiery, hot to the touch, and hot-headed. A tier, hugger. Not as good as Eevee, but still very, very strong. Oh goodness, Porygon. I almost forgot about Porygon. Porygon is probably okay at hugging. If it weren't for being so incredibly I almost said polygonal, is that the right word? Hence the name. Porygon wants a hug, but I don't think they can handle a hug. I think Porygon is C tier. I would hug Porygon if Porygon needs it. Omanite was once described to me as a guy on top of a table, only his mustache though. And I can't not get that image out of my mind. I feel like he's got some feelers or suckers underneath his bristles that I would find not great. But he does have his flippers, if you could call them that, up, ready, inviting. That is D tier. I would not enjoy it, but I would hug Omanite if they needed it. And Omastar gets worse. Good God, it gets worse. If you are on the edge of teetering if I would hug you or not, I would not hug Omastar. Omastar's teeth got worse, eyes got worse, more unnecessarily aggressive tentacles. F tier for Omastar. Kabuto. Okay. I'm still unsure if these are the eyes or if these are the eyes. I think it's the bottom ones. I'm going to consider it bottom ones because I don't think it changes the rating. They're misunderstood, so I would accept a hug, but I wouldn't feel good about it. That is D. It's a D. Kabuto is a D. D tier hugger. But Kabutops has gotten out of its undecided phase, but does have the Scyther-like scythe arms. Would be very dangerous. So it's one step forward, 2 steps back. F tier, I would not hug a Kabutops due to the unsettling nature as well as the hurtful arms. Aerodactyl. Aerodactyl's big mouth is not great for hugging. It would definitely get in the way. Probably rest on your head. But I'm okay with that. Aerodactyl is enthusiastic about his dinosaurness, and I like it. I would give Aerodactyl a hug if they asked for it. That is a C tier hug. And if there isn't a big cuddly bear, Teddy Ursa is not in this video, Snorlax would be the one to go to. Snorlax would definitely be the one to fall asleep with and lean against and hold an arm if you're feeling a little bit unsure of yourself. Snorlax is S tier huggability. I'm fully confident saying that. Articuno! Articuno is interesting. I like Articuno. Yeah, I would hug Articuno. Yeah, I'm fine with A tier. A tier. I would hug Articuno. Ooh, Zapdos is angry and spiky. I don't know about the bodily harm, but I would not be as eager to. I don't think it would be unpleasant. I'm just not eager to. That's C tier. I would not seek out a hug from Zapdos. And we got uno, y dos, y tres. Moltres is on fire, though not as angry as Zapdos. More in the Articuno area. Moltres knows what it's going for. I would hug Moltres if it wasn't for the fire. That is a B tier. Easy B tier. And gosh, look at Dratini. The slitheriness may put a bunch of people off, but man, Dratini is... I'm okay with Dratini. I would hug Dratini. Yeah. Dratini's A. I would hug Dratini. Nothing that special. Just a solid A. I'm okay with Dratini. Dragonair. Okay. Got prettier, I think. I'd also hug Dragonair. I'm okay with Dragonair, yeah. And a lot of people don't like Dragonite because of the Dragonair-ness, but Dragonite is dopey, and I'm here for it. I would also hug Dragonite. That is A tier for all three. And final two. Angry Mewtwo. I wasn't necessarily on board for, but you know the backstory of Mewtwo. He needs a hug. You know, I would hug Mewtwo. C. I would C Mewtwo's hug. C tier. And Mew. Look at the weird cat, floaty, psychic, stubbly arms guy. Gosh, he's just so darn cute, and he's psychic. He can lift you up when you need it. That's an S tier. I would hug Mew, definitely. S tier. I would want to hug Mewtwo. Not A tier, S tier. And with that is our tier list. I'm going to window capture, add source, new source, show you this tier list that we've created. I'm going to have to crop it quite a bit, but this is a solid tier list. I'd argue one of the best. I'd argue the most definitive tier list for Pokemon, because everyone knows that the only way to judge Pokemon is by how much you want to be their companion and hug them. Oops. Okay, well, locking this one. Here we go. Yeah. I'm gonna cover up the title a bit there. There's our tier list. S tier, we have Squirtle, Pikachu, Machamp, Ditto, Eevee, Snorlax, and Mew. And a strong A tier cast. B tier is okay, but there's some possible hurt feelings or hurt bodies in there. C tier, be wary of it, but also accept that they're Pokemon too. They may need a little bit of help every now and then. D tier, you know, sometimes you gotta power through the unpleasantness. Give them a hug if they need it. And then F tier, I would advise to avoid hugging these Pokemon. I will most likely make an image of this and post it to my Twitter at Doug the Dragonborn, as well as you can find me streaming every other Saturday, specifically this Saturday, a D&D stream where we do sort of whatever we feel like. It's a tournament, so there are, I think, 15 people now, or something like that. Not every one of them shows up, but I have a unique initiative style that I do to help mitigate the strange initiative order deal we got going on. I would highly suggest you tune in Saturday at 6:15 p.m. Central Standard Time. Thank you all for coming. Give me a follow, and follow me on Twitter as well. Yeah, thanks for coming. I'm happy to test out my new equipment and have fun doing so. So yeah, give me a follow, and I'll see you next time.